Good evening. Welcome to the May Board of Education meeting. Chad, would you like to open us up with our meeting opening notice announcement, please?
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Sparta Board of Education has caused notice of the time and place of this meeting to be published in the New Jersey Herald, the Star Ledger, Tap into Sparta, and notice of this meeting has been posted on the Sparta Township School District website.
Thank you so much. And just to confirm, the meeting is called to order at 6 p.m. May we please have a roll call?
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Here.
Here.
Present. Thank you so much. If everyone can join us for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will begin by convening into closed session, whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, provides for the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Sparta Township Board of Education is of the opinion that such circumstances exist to discuss legal matters which are exempt from public participation pursuant to New Jersey Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Therefore, be it resolved that the Sparta Township Board of Education shall enter executive session on May 1st at 6:02 p.m. The board will reconvene in public session at the conclusion of the executive session. We estimate about an hour. The information discussed during executive session will be disclosed to the public as soon as it is determined by the board that the information is no longer confidential. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Good evening. Resolved that the Board of Education closes executive session and enters back into the public portion of the meeting at 7:04 PM. May we have a roll call, please?
Dr. Hinkle? Dr. Martinez?
Present.
Ms. McMichael?
Here.
Ms. Serafino?
Here.
Ms. Williams?
Present.
Mr. Wood?
Here?
And Ms. Gagnon?
Present.
Quorum confirmed.
Thank you. We're now moving on to item 4.1. It'll be our district budget presentation presented by our superintendent, Dr. Beck, and our business administrator, Barbara Decker.
Just making sure we're set up here. Okay. Okay, good evening. This is the 25-26 budget presentation. So what you're going to see this evening is really going to be almost an identical repeat of what we presented the last time for board approval before we send it off to the county. So now that the county approved it, we are going to re-present it as part of the process. Put the numbers back out there for you folks, and then allow time for this. There will be a public hearing portion tonight. Once this, if and when the budget is approved this evening, then it becomes finalized, at which point we have 48 hours to post the user-friendly budget on our website, and it becomes official that this will be our 25-26 budget. For those following at home, this is now, or should be, posted on the website, so it is accessible on the website. So apologize if this is a repeat of last time. It'll be a refresher for most. Just going back through the budget process, what we do here in our school district is we operate, when we are creating a budget, on zero-based budgeting. It is our belief that that is the most efficient and thorough way to budget. Instead of just rolling things over from one budget year to another, we look to start at zero and build from what is actually needed. And we do that by going back into the buildings and working with our administrative team, working with the budget secretaries who have firsthand knowledge of what is being purchased and where our money is going, reviewing the process, and working with the finance committee. This is a months-long process, and I gave great credit last time. I'll give great credit again. Barbara came in rather late in the process, much later than she would have preferred when it comes to a budgeting process, and we were able to turn this around rather quickly, so very impressive on that front. So we're going to throw a lot of numbers at you folks tonight, and a lot of people that might be following from home or in the audience might be thinking, these numbers, what does this actually mean for me? So I always like to start with the first numbers. What does this actually mean for you, and what does this mean for the average household? So the general tax fund impact, there will be a 2% tax levy in this year's budget or next year's budget. And what that means is, for Sparta Township, the average home assessment is $372,200, and that has not changed now for a couple of years. What that means on the average assessed home, the 2% tax levy, means that the taxes will increase 2%, or $175.89 for the year, or $14.66 per month, for the grand total of taxes to be raised being $68,567,602. That is what the 2% total tax levy will be for next year. And I'll let Barbara dive into the numbers.
Thank you. Okay, this slide is just showing us another example or another way of presenting how we came up at that $175.89 increase. We are comparing 25 and 24 tax information that we obtained from the tax office at the municipality, and it compares the ratables. If you look across the 25 row, the ratables are shown, and they are $3,073,320,500. The tax levy is that 2% increase on the current fiscal year 25 tax levy. That increase comes to $68,567,602. When you divide the ratables into the tax levy, you come up with the tax rate. And the tax rate in this case is 0.022310593. You take that tax rate and multiply it by the assessed value of $372,200 for the average assessed home, and you come up with $8,304 for taxes for the school board to support that full $68,567,602 tax levy. 24 is shown below it. You can see that from the rateable values, there is actually a $4.9 million decrease, which does sound like a significant amount of money, but based on the ratables in the township, that's actually less than 0.2%. It's 0.16. So it is a small decrease, but it's still a large number when you see 4.9. Tax levy increase at $1,344,463 represents 2%. And then go all the way across to the estimated taxes, and you're looking at the $175.89 increase from the current fiscal year to the proposed fiscal year. Okay, here's our tax levy from the current year, 25, that's $67,223,139, 2% increase at $1.3 million, basically. And then a total tax levy for fiscal year 26 at $68,567,602. And that tax levy represents 87% of the revenue for the school district, which is certainly significant.
Yeah. This slide just shows the history over the past 10 years of what our tax levy increase has been. You can see the typical tax increase is 2%. That is what is allowable by law without going out to vote and without going into banked cap, which we had to do 2 years ago in the fiscal year 24 budget. So this slide just gives you an idea of what our taxes have been over the past 10 years.
Okay, bank cap, as Dr. Beck had just mentioned, that's a result of when we put information into the state DOE system. It's calculated automatically, and typically most districts that are eligible for bank cap, it's a result of either an enrollment adjustment or a healthcare adjustment. In fiscal year 25, the current year that we're in, there was a $393,594 that was generated from bank cap, and that was a combination of both enrollment and healthcare adjustments. Fiscal year 26, what we're proposing is $960,624, and that is just a result from healthcare adjustment, nothing to do with enrollment. So combined, we have $1,354,218 left in bank cap. You have 3 years to use bank cap from when it's created or generated. And when you use bank cap, it actually increases your tax levy. It's not neutral funds. It's funds that you were eligible to use in the year they were generated. You may have chose not to use them, as we are not using them in fiscal year 26, wasn't used in 25 either, but you would have a tax impact when and if they are used. Okay, state aid, this is just representing the current year 25 and where we are in 26. You see an increase of $242,896. That was a nice surprise for the district. We were not anticipating that, always hopeful, but you never know, especially with all the cuts in state aid across many school districts. That's a 3.8% increase in state aid, and that's about an 8.5% of the overall revenue for the district. It's almost not, it's about 8.5%. So here's a summary of our revenue. I always like to talk about the revenue first. We need to figure out how much money we have to spend before we figure out, what programs and how we're going to utilize that money. So the revenue summary right here, we've already talked about the local tax levy, and we've talked about the state aid. That fund balance of $1,263,503, that's a combination of excess surplus from prior years. It's from fiscal year 24 that rolls forward to fiscal year 26 by way of the audit. And then it's also another piece of that is from another portion of surplus that we're allowed on the 2% of our purchases. So it's a little complex, but together that comes to $1,263,503 for fund balance. Other local sources, that's interest that we'll earn off of various checking accounts that we have, as well as facility use revenue. And then the semi-projection for fiscal year 26 is $3,528. SEMI is the Special Education Medicaid Initiative. That's a program where districts are allowed to go back and recoup some of the expenses that are medically necessary for our students with individual education plans or IEPs. And some of those expenses that we can recoup might be speech, PT, OT, evaluations, counseling services, nursing services. There are services that are provided to students that are medically necessary, whether they're in school or not, and any kind of special transportation needs that child may need as well. Extraordinary aid is $618,320, and that's just the cost that we're able to go back at the end of the year, this time of year in May. We are permitted to put an application into the state of New Jersey for the extra costs for educating our students with special needs, and it's over $40,000 in district cost, the cost to educate that child, or $55,000 when they're in a private setting. And then we have withdrawal from reserve funds. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's $1,355,000, and that's from two different reserve accounts. That total is $78,487,880 for our anticipated revenue for fiscal year '26. This is just a pie chart of those same numbers you just saw. And if you look at the 87% tax levy and 9% state aid, I rounded it up to 9%, you're looking at 96% of your revenue for the district comes between state aid and tax levy. Cap reserve comes in at 1%, maintenance reserve. That fund balance is about 2%, and then the miscellaneous revenue at 1%. So here's a revenue comparison, and this is where we really like to try to make sure we're looking at apples to apples comparison. We take the fiscal year '25 and the proposed fiscal year '26, different various types of revenue that the district has, and we make sure that we remove anything that's not the same, and that would be the reserve accounts are not here. So when you look at the difference between 25 adjusted numbers and 26 proposed numbers, you're looking at a $1,985,384 increase, which is 2.6%. Okay, that's just comparing apples to apples. Like I said, there's no reserves in there because that skews the numbers. So try to remember that number. I'll remind you when we get over to the revenues or to the appropriation side, it has to tie in, and that's how you know that we're able to spend the same on both sides. So another source of revenue that the district has is, up until this point, we've only talked about the general fund, which is our everyday operating account. This is special revenue. Special revenue is also known as Fund 20, and it's typically grant money. It's grant money from either the federal or the state government. These two grants right here, ESEA and IDEA, a lot of acronyms in education. It's the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, Titles 1, 2, and 4, and IDEA, Individuals with Disability Education Act for basic. So the Titles 1, 2, and 4, they're both federal grants. Titles 1, 2, and 4 help students out. They support student programs, student services, professional development, and the culture and climate overall of the school district. So we budget them at 80%, all of the grants, 80% of what you got this year. That's what the DOE recommends. Except Title I this year, we were actually told to budget at 70%. And then the basic portion of IDEA, that $673,000 is used to defray the costs of out-of-district tuition. So total revenue for special revenue of federal grants is $771,454. Another type of special revenue we receive, which is fairly new to the district, is preschool education aid. That's from the state, so this is state education, not federal. And we're receiving $3.4 million, just over $3.4 million for fiscal year '26. And the district has to put in a portion of the funds to support that program as well, and that's to help support the special education students that are in that population. District's contribution is $382,704. So preschool aid total is $3,795,330. The prior slide, which was the federal funds, is $771,454. Our total special revenue, which is our Fund 20 portion of the full budget, is $4,566,784. Okay, then we have another source of revenue that is also called reserve funds. And this year we're using reserve funds to pay the lease payments on the ESIP. ESIP is our Energy Saving Improvement Plan that we went through a few years ago, and we have to, it's a payback over 15 years. You're funded money to make capital improvements to make your district run more efficiently. And then the payback this year for that portion of the lease payment is $575,561. And there were IT upgrades as well, and those IT upgrades were $28,534. So the withdrawal from capital reserve, which is like a savings account, is anticipated to be $604,095. And the required maintenance is, we have a maintenance account or maintenance reserve account, which again is just like a savings account, and that's $396,260 we have in the budget included to make a withdrawal as well, and that will help us facilitate any required maintenance projects that we have to make during the school year. It's important to realize that both of those withdrawals are tax neutral. There's no tax impact on the tax levy because they're sitting, I'm going to call them savings accounts or reserve accounts. So when we pull that money out, that has no impact to the tax levy at all. So a closer look at those reserve accounts, the capital reserve, it's outlined very specifically by the DOE what those uses of funds can be for. Capital projects are just as they sound, large projects that you would complete throughout the district. We had 1.6 million basically on March 1st. We're anticipating a withdrawal of about 477,000, and that should leave us with about 1.1 million or just over at the end of the year. Maintenance reserve, again, March 1st, we had 861,000 roughly. We plan on pulling out about 396,000, and that should leave us about 465,000. Okay, now we get to the appropriations. We talked about so far revenue and what we have available. Now we'll switch gears and we'll say, okay, what kind of programs do we need? What do we need to support in that budget? How can we, I don't want to say spend, but what's the best way to allocate those funds to educate our students? So there's a comparison between 25 and 26 here for the 2 years. Instruction is your general ed, special education, ESL, intervention, and also gifted and talented. So that's all of your education in one piece right there. And then we have our support services. Our support services are your social workers, your social work office, I should say, the nurse. It is also one-to-one services and your speech, PT, and OT, your child study team, the library, professional development, curriculum office, and that basically comes in at almost no change for fiscal year 25 to 26. Athletics and co-curricular sees a slight increase. Out-of-district tuition is not only for our special education students, but it is also for our charter school kids, the children that decide to go to charter school, and also for your vocational, Sussex County vocational. Administration, there's a few layers of administration in there. That would be your general administration, which is a superintendent's office, the school level administration at every building, the business office, as well as IT is part of that as well, the part of IT that's considered administration. Operation encompasses required maintenance for building and grounds, building the grounds themselves, custodial needs, and also security is lumped into that category as well. Transportation is self-explanatory. And then we get to benefits. Benefits encompasses a lot. It's not, most people will just think your prescription, your dental, and your medical expense. They're all in there, of course. You've got your one-time employer PERS payment, which is every year the district is required as an employer to make a contribution to the PERS pension system for our employees, excuse me, that are members of that. We also have workman's comp in there, the sick day payout for teachers at the end of the year, tuition reimbursement is in there, and any other contractual requirements that are paid out to our employees, as well as benefits, people that opt out, their waiver payments. So there's a lot of different things in that benefit line. Capital outlay is basically our projects or any purchases that we're making for assets that are over $2,000. So that looks like, excuse me, basically a 3% increase on this slide. But like I said, this includes capital outlay, so we're not really exactly comparing those apples to apples. On this slide, I pulled out the reserves. Every year when we do our adjusted budget or start our whole budget process with the DOE requires that the districts report their fiscal year, current fiscal year 25, with, excuse me, February 1st balances. And our February 1st balances are adjusted. That's the $76,182,041 that was on the prior slide. I took out the reserves from both 25 and 26, and we also have to carry over those prior year encumbrances. And by that is what I mean, the prior year encumbrances are things that were not paid off at the end of the year last year, June 30th, that we had to carry over and pay in the current fiscal year. And for us, that was a pretty large number, $557,900. When we remove, thank you, when we remove those things that are different and not the same, not parallel in each of the 2 years, we come up with $75,502,141 for this year currently, and then a $77,487,525 for the projected 26 year. And there we are back again at that $1,985,384, which is important. I always like to point out that on the revenue side, we saw it could go up that $1,985,384, and we tie in on the other side, so you understand that it was the same on both sides because numbers have to equal. So that's a 2% increase. Even though our tax levy is only at 2%, we're looking at a 2.6% increase. Thank you. Okay, here's a pie chart that represents those appropriations. Instruction is 42%, you've got benefits at 17, tuition and support services is 15, your co-curricular is 2, capital outlay is only 1, administration 6, and operations and transportation is combined together for 17%. So it just gives you a little bit of a visual of the same numbers we looked at on the prior slide.
And then just to reiterate, again, we went over this before last time, but some highlights that are included in this budget, technology highlights. We have heard requests for, and rightfully so, the movement to iPads in Alpine Elementary School for multiple reasons. So we have begun the process of switching from Chromebooks to iPads over there. It'll be a phase-in process. So there are 250 iPads included in this budget for Alpine Elementary School. And as always, the 550 Chromebooks for the rising 6th grade and 9th grade students, and Promethean boards in multiple buildings as well. Also included beyond your regular expenditures would be a new piano for Helen Morgan School, computer replacement for the sewer plant, which we've spoken about before, as you heard in operations minutes, and the new switch over to accounting and personnel software for next year, getting away from our current Systems 3000 software. And when Ms. Decker was talking about the banked cap and how there could be enrollment adjustments, you can see where some of that was coming from. You can see that our enrollment over the past couple of years has been increasing, which is a good thing because that helps us with our state aid. It's part of the state aid equation, but it's a double-edged sword because also that now with our increased enrollment means less room in our buildings, which we are trying to address through the referendum.
Okay, this slide just shows a summary of the budget calculations. The per pupil costs, again, 25 is based on adjusted balances as of February 1st, and fiscal year 26 comes in at 21,501. That's assuming every penny of the budget is spent, which, you know, they're not really accurate numbers. It's much better when you look in the audit and you see the accurate actual numbers from fiscal year 24 or after this audit is done, fiscal year 25. Administrative costs were well within the limits on administrative limits, and our legal costs have been trending down, which is nice to see. Those are the most popular that people look at. That's why we included these three. Do you want to do this one?
Yeah, sure. And then this is just the resolution you see on this evening's agenda, which is identical to the resolution that you saw on the previous presentation, except that included preliminary or proposed language, and this is actually just the final. That is the only revision that you see between the two resolutions from the last time to this time. But this is the official resolution to approve the budget this evening. Thank you, and we will move on to the hearing portion. You want to stay up here for that?
What's that?
You want to stay up here for
Thank you so much.
Oh, I don't care. We can sit.
So moving on to 4.2, the public participation for our budget hearing. We invite the members of the public to come up and speak regarding the budget at this time. Please state your name and address for the record. Each participant shall receive 3 minutes to speak. Comments during this public participation must pertain to the budget.
Hello. Do I have to say my name and address? I'm Dana Galino, 26 Valley View Trail. First, I want to thank this board for keeping the increase at the 2% once again, as promised. I spend a lot of time speaking to Spartans every year about 2024, when the board unnecessarily raised taxes close to 6%, and how we needed a board that is not only focused on education, but also on fiscal responsibility. and that both of those things can be true at the same time. And once again, you've done it, so thank you. We appreciate it. The first thing I want to talk about with the budget is the out-of-district spending. I saw that the number is roughly $2.6 million for next year, and I don't know what the 11.3% pertain to. Could you just clear that up for me? Was that, what is that 11.3% that was on that one chart?
Ms. Galino, we'll have Barbara respond at the
So
end.
a
but
lot
we'll
of
make
my
sure.
questions are more like a conversation because they lead to other ones. But for this one, you can respond after.
I
but
just want to
some-
respect your time. That's the only element of it. So yeah, if it makes more sense, if you have 3 minutes of speech, and please pause the time. If you have 3 minutes of something to say, I just want to make sure it's not taking away
Okay.
from what
Do
you
we
have to
only
say.
have 3 minutes at the budget hearing?
Unfortunately, it does say that. Yep, shall receive 3 minutes to speak.
The out-
Okay, so
The
I have,
out-of-district, as we said, comparing 25.
I can't hear you.
The out-of-district for 25 to 26, you're comparing, and there was an increase of.
11.3%.
Yep. it
Was
says
the
11.
increase. Okay, that's what I
Yes.
just wanted to clear up.
And that could, it's a combination, not just it's out-of-district special education tuition.
3 buckets.
As well as 3 pots,
I got
yes.
it. Okay. So with the per pupil cost of around $21,500, that comes out to about 120 students that, for whatever reason, we don't have in the district, and I understand that. But I just wanted to ask if, and this is not something that you could answer tonight, I don't think you can, but is anything in the works to address that number, to bring that down? Maybe the referendum, or maybe looking at why kids are going from middle to charter or from high school to tech. Just to bring some of those kids back, I think would be great. And if we could maybe get just even a portion of them, that would be beneficial to our budget. So that was just one thing that we just could maybe think about. The second question I had, which I guess if it's not a conversation, a couple of years ago, I believe we went to a self-funded benefits plan, which we were a little nervous, it might be risky, and I just wanted to know if we were able to stay in target and if that had worked for us and if we had decided to stay with self-funded. And then the last thing was that I wanted to know what our total expenses for year 24-25 for legal were to date, and then what the budgeted amount for legal next year was. Okay, so that's it. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And just a reminder, we do have 2 other public comment portions, so if at any point someone isn't able to get everything that they need out, we still have more time allotted. I won't speak, the only item that I can speak to is that I think this board shares concerns regarding out-of-district placements, and it is something that we, as in partnership with the administration, have been certainly considering. So I can assure you that that's on our radar as well. Very valid.
And I would just make one comment on the increase. The issue that you raised is a valid issue, and Ms. Gagnon just commented on the actual issue. When you see the rise in costs, it's not just a rise in the amount of students going out, but actually the charter school tuition per pupil has actually increased significantly, which would lead you to believe that it's not the number of, there is a number of students that are going out of district, but the increase is also contributed to the actual rise in tuition from charter school. Just number-wise.
I was told that charter school just takes the per pupil amount, the 21.5. They take more than that?
No, there have been, over the past couple of years, have been some rise in special education costs through the charter school as well.
Okay, so I must have been thinking about.
But your point is still taken on the students leaving the district.
I just wanted to share on a positive note on the curriculum agenda for tonight. The district is opening an emotional regulation impairment class at the high school. So there are different things in place to try to expand programming and continue to serve, the diverse needs of students.
Regarding the health insurance, we are moving as of July 1st. We're going back to it's actually a SHIF, a school health insurance fund. The self-insured policy has really turned out to be very expensive and not cost-effective, and we are moving back. It was not better for us to go to a private fund We're going to, with a bunch of school districts, many school districts band together. It's just like we have our general liability insurance, and we're in the process of moving everyone right now for a July 1 start date.
Perfect. That's what we thought. Walter told us.
And I will get you the legal information you requested.
Okay, anyone else for public comment for the budget hearing? Ooh. Seeing none, motion to close, please. Thank you, Emily. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Rocky. All in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? Great. May I now have a motion to move items 4.3 through 4.4, which are our district budget for the 25-26 school year, as well as the travel and related expense reimbursement for 25-26 as well. Thank you, Rebecca. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Emily. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, may we have a roll call, please?
Dr. Hinkle? Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And Ms. Gagnon?
Yes,
Motion carries, and thank you.
thank you, especially for all your hard work. We really appreciate it. Moving on to item 5.1, we have district recognition. You have anything tonight? No, we don't. We've already covered our presentations for the evening, so let's move on to our student representative monthly report.
Today, as May 1st, was decision day for the senior class, so everybody was able to represent where they will be heading after graduation. There was a walkathon during extended homeroom this Monday that went well. There was music playing, and it was a good, lighthearted, extended homeroom period. And then this week is Autism Acceptance Week and Choose to Include Week.
Spring sports are going on. They're going very well right now. The senior class is almost done planning a field trip for after the senior walk and a day trip to Six Flags, possibly. AP tests begin next week and run for about 2 weeks. Junior and senior prom will be on May 22nd or 29th. And the freshman class is planning a bowling night for early June.
Excellent, thank you so much. May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please, as listed?
Motion.
Thank you, Rocky. Second? Thank you, Rebecca. All in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, moving on to our superintendent's monthly report, please.
Yes, thank you. A little shorter this evening because of the small time between board meetings, including a spring break. But to acknowledge, as I do every month, the retirements that are on this evening's agenda. First, we have Ruth Ann Goither, the teacher assistant classroom for Sparta Middle School. She has served our district for 23 years. Mary Hildebrand, another teacher assistant, this one at Alpine Elementary School. She has served our district for 21 years. And Dennis Romano from our maintenance department, specifically HVAC, he has served our district for 14 years. Congratulations and best wishes to all of our retirees. Huge congratulations to junior Jenna Flake on her nomination for Outstanding Solo Performance Digital Submission at the Paper Mill Playhouse Rising Star Awards for her beautiful performance of Somewhere That's Green as Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors. This marks the first ever nomination for Sparta at the Rising Star Awards, an incredible milestone. Modeled after Broadway's Tony Awards, the Paper Mill Playhouse Rising Star Awards were established in 1996 to recognize and celebrate excellence in New Jersey high school musical theater. This prestigious statewide program has inspired similar initiatives across the country, thanks to the support and guidance of Paper Mill Playhouse. There were over 100 schools that entered in the competition, so congratulations to her. An update on the referendum. Much progress is being made on the referendum communications front. We have a standing weekly meeting with our communications team, and that took place today. Laura Bishop Communications will be on our school campuses tomorrow to begin taking pictures of our facilities and possibly some students with media clearance. LBC is also building the website, which we are aiming to launch by the end of the month, a referendum-specific website. I'd like to wish the best of luck to our middle school and high school robotics teams who will be competing in the VEX World Championships next week. And 2 shout-outs. First, today is National Principals Day, so thank you for all of our hard work, for all of our principals and all of our administrators for that matter. And next week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and every week is Teacher Appreciation Week, but specifically next week. So thank you to all of our teachers for all of their hard work.
Thank you so much. Moving on to the President's report. So picking up from where I left off in April, I'd like to wish the Sparta archery team, including our Helen Morgan middle school and high school archers, the very best of luck as they embark to Kentucky next week to compete in the national tournament. We look forward to reporting your success at the next meeting and trust you will continue to make our district proud through your participation and commitment to the program. I'd also like to recognize an email I received this morning from a Sparta alumni. A former student who now attends James Madison University reached out privately to share a college assignment she has been working on. Her class, entitled Critical Questions in Education, prompted her to research an issue that impacts K-12 public education. She chose to write about career development and shared some very interesting insights and perspective in terms of how our district can explore Sparta students, preparing Sparta students for their future careers. As I mentioned in my reply to her, I plan to raise these ideas as a discussion item for our next curriculum committee meeting so we can continue to equip our students with the best opportunities available to them. I know Ms. Rossi is passionate about this, so I'm looking forward to that. But really, I just wanted to highlight how awesome it is that we have Sparta students who are still involved in our processes, oftentimes long after they left our halls. So I think it really speaks volumes and helps us to prioritize items that we might not necessarily be considering, and it offers us that perspective that we definitely appreciate. So thank you for that correspondence. Lastly, I'd like to touch on our recent NJSBA board certification training. While Mr. Wood will be providing the update tonight, we did attend our first board retreat and training session with our NJSBA field service representative, Kelly Mitchell, in April. In this process, we completed our board self-evaluation, which highlighted our strengths and areas of growth as a team. A collective area of concern that was raised involved board member confidentiality and the related role of the local media. Policy 9400, entitled Media Relations, explicitly states that the superintendent or designee shall be the chief communications representative of our school district. So while board members are free to act on their own behalf as private citizens, the policy does assert that any staff member should be, quote, cognizant of their obligation to protect the privacy and confidentiality of students and school operations in accordance with federal and state laws, end quote. This obviously includes personnel matters which are confidential. While I hold our constitutional rights, including our First Amendment rights, in the highest regard, I would like to publicly remind our board members that an oath was taken to uphold our code of ethics and remind members of the press, especially, present or otherwise, that any and all inquiries should be directed to our superintendent, just as delineated in policy. Thank you, and moving on, we have our, Oprah will pass, we have our HIB report. May I have a motion to approve the HIB report, please? Thank you, Emily. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Rocky. Discussion? Seeing none, may we have a roll call, please?
Dr. Hinkle?
Yes.
Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on, anything from Communications Committee this time? Okay, great. Our delegate and liaison reports, if anyone has anything they'd like to report out from recent meetings.
I would love to start out strong. So just a quick update from the Curriculum Committee. We are very excited to share that planning is underway for this summer's Extended Learning Program, ELP. A coordinator has been approved and outreach to parents has already started. The program is shaping up to be a great way to support students with intervention plans and especially help prevent summer learning loss, which can be a big struggle for students. Also, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Mr. DiCrescenzi, who will be running the new Legal Studies and Law Club at Sparta High School. We're all looking forward to see how that gets off the ground. That's all I have for curriculum. Now, just another quick shout out to the Sparta Education Foundation. I don't have anything too new, but to keep you all informed, the inaugural pickleball tournament is taking place on Friday, May 30th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Sparta Athletic Club. There's going to be teams of 2, and tickets are going to be $30 per person. If anyone is interested in signing up, please check out their event on Facebook, and you can find them by name at the Sparta Education Foundation. And by supporting their events, you're supporting our schools and our administrators. So always try to do your best. And last but not least, and to just add on to what Caitlin said, in terms of our strategic planning process, last Thursday we had the board training led by Kelly Mitchell from the NJSBA. And I'm not sure how many of you have met her from the public, but she is excellent. So the next time you can make a board training, try to make it, because she's one to see. We had a really meaningful dialogue, and we made some solid progress as a board, especially as growing together as a board. I also wanted to acknowledge that Dr. Beck, Ms. Rossi, and even our BA, Ms. Decker, was there, and they did not have to join us. This was their first day of spring break, but they decided to do a Board of Ed event for all reasons. I couldn't tell you. But that kind of commitment from our administration really stands out and shows me how aligned we are in working together toward board certification and staying on track with our goals. So it was just really exciting to see. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was 2.5 hours or something like that out of 16.
Yeah, so
down.
Kelly gave us it's going to be an hour to 90 minutes, and then we stayed for 2.5 hours and had to cut it off a little early because we could have kept going.
Yep.
But that's never a bad thing, to be honest with you.
Yep.
And just to add a little bit, I was going to say this for the good of the order, but and it's more for the board than it is for the public, but I have been in contact with Kelly, and a potential next day for our next board training may be, and I'll send an email as well, June 26th, the Thursday, which does kind of, creep into the summer, but just wanted to throw that date out there a little early. We have a major time, so I'll keep you posted.
Anyone else for delegate or liaison reports? We had a quick turnaround, so there's not much. Okay, moving on to public comment number 1. Public comments are invited on matters pertaining only to action items at this time. Please state the action item number as well as your name, municipality, and group affiliation if appropriate for the record. Each participant will receive 3 minutes to speak. Once you have had your allotted 3 minutes to speak, you will not be permitted to speak again until public comment number 2. All statements should be directed to me as the presiding officer. The board or administration may or may not respond to any questions or comments after the conclusion of public participation. Okay, seeing no one, may I have a motion to close public comment number 1, please?
Motion?
Thank you, Chad. Second? Thank you, Emily. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, moving on, we have personnel and policy. Forgive me for not writing them out ahead. Motion to move items, motion to move items 16. Bear with me. Thank you. Through 26, you said? Perfect. 16.1 through 16.26. Thank you, Emily. Second. Thank you, Rebecca. Discussion. Since Kurt isn't here and he is our chair to report out, the only thing I'd like to highlight, first of all, I want to thank all of the the principals who were able to make the process for us at the last committee meeting very streamlined and efficient. We always appreciate that. Tonight, we will see 2 policies and regulations on the agenda. These are regarding our library resource materials and otherwise, and also public complaints and grievances. On a personal note, I just want to say I am extremely proud of this board, our committee, for working together to make this happen in collaboration with the Ideas Committee and our media specialists. I think the progress really shows for itself. Super, super proud of the work we've done here. I appreciate Mark's input as well. And I think the final product is something that we can all be proud of and look forward to. So thank you all for that, and thank you to the committee. And with that, anyone else for discussion on?
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
I just want to say that our last personnel meeting was great. It was I'm going to reiterate what Caitlin said. It was great to hear from all the principals. And one thing that really stood out to me is that the principals came in and talked about the members that were up for tenure and just had endless positive things to say about our faculty and our staff, not just in the classroom, but outside the classroom, and how much they really give back to the community. And it was just a really positive experience, and it's great to see this enthusiasm. And congratulations to those receiving tenure today.
Hear, hear. Thank you. With that, we have a motion, we have a second, we have discussion. May we have a roll call, please? Dr. McCool?
I have a no vote on 16.6, Dr. Lazara for the high school principal, I'm a no. Rest, yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes to everything, no to 16.25.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you so much. Moving on to curriculum, instruction, and special services, may I please have a motion to move items 17.1 through 17.7? Motion. Thank you, Chad. Second? Thank you, Rebecca. Discussion.
And I'm just realizing I hit on this discussion a little early, but that's okay. It was a really short meeting. It was very productive. And I always appreciate these kind of meetings because it kind of turns into, okay, it's a super quick turnaround. We don't have too much to talk about. So it almost gives us the floor to Miss Rossi, which is a little dangerous because she has all the info. So it's always nice to poke her brain a little bit and see how we can improve as a committee.
Dangerous in the best way possible, of course. Okay, great. Anyone else, excuse me, for discussion? Okay, may we have a roll call, please?
Dr. Hinkle?
Yes, abstain on 17.4.
Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you so much. Moving on to finance, may I have a motion to move items 18.1 through 18.7, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Rocky. Second? Second. Oh,
Yeah, mark that.
oh, excuse me. Okay, we did have to.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse us for one moment.
18.6.
So 18.6 will read, resolve that the Board of Education approves an individual to be designated by the superintendent and ratified by the Board of Education at its next regularly scheduled meeting to serve as the school physician from May 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2025.
Thank you so much. So may I have a motion to approve those items, including the amended 18.6? Thank you, Emily. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Rocky. Discussion. Anything to report? Yeah.
It was a quick turnaround. Just a couple of things I want to highlight. I have not been told, but I believe our tree has been removed. It was supposed to be removed last week, so it's done. That's good. No more tree. The other thing is, I believe for September, all the buildings will be having food, breakfast and lunch. And that's to make sure that everybody can get a meal if they need it. That's pretty much it. Those are the things I wanted to highlight.
Thank you. And just to add to that, I really want to highlight, just as Rocky did once more, I'm very, very proud of the fact that we were able to unanimously agree that offering breakfast in all buildings was a great move for our district. And I especially want to thank Ms. Decker for making that possible, because I know there was a quick turnaround with that to make it happen. So for your work with Mascios to ensure that that's starting up for us in September. We encourage, obviously, the public to make sure that you are taking advantage of breakfast now being offered in all buildings. So thank you and great work there to the committee.
Thank you.
With that, may we have a roll call, please?
Dr. Hinkle? Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you. Moving on to operations, may I please have a motion to move items 19.1 through 19.2, it looks like. Yep, 19.2. Thank you, Rebecca. Second. Thank you, Emily. Discussion. Rocky, none? Seeing none? Anything for operations? We're okay? Okay, great. Thank you so much. With that, no discussion. Let's move on to a roll call, please.
Dr. Hinkle? Yes. Dr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Ms. Serafino?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
And Ms. Gagnon?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you so much. Moving on to old business. Anyone have anything for old business they wish to discuss? Okay, seeing none. Anyone for new business? Nothing? Okay. Moving on to public comment number 2. The board uses the second public comment period to invite comments on all matters pertaining to the school district. Please state your name, municipality, and group affiliation if appropriate for the record. Each participant will receive 3 minutes to speak. Once you have had your allotted 3 minutes to speak, you will not be permitted to speak again. All statements should be directed to me as the presiding officer. The board or administration may or may not respond to any questions or comments after the conclusion of the public participation.
Good evening. My name is Angela DeLucia, and I am the very proud president of the Sussex County Education Association and Sparta Education Association. I know it's been a little while since we've seen each other, but as we gather tonight, it's hard to believe how quickly this year is flying by. It's only been a few short weeks since our last meeting. The end of the school year is already in sight. There's an unmistakable energy in the air. Spring assessments are underway. Concerts and award season is in full swing. Our athletics teams are performing at very high levels, and we're just weeks away from prom and graduation. It's a vibrant and meaningful time in our schools, filled with milestones that students, families, and staff anticipate and celebrate. And as we do each month, the SEA is proud to share just a few highlights that reflect the dedication, collaboration, and passion alive in our district. Each moment, while seemingly small, contributes to the larger story of our schools, where educators, students, and families work hand in hand to create something truly special. One such moment was Take Your Child to Work Day, a heartwarming opportunity for educators to share their professional world with their own children. It was a beautiful blend of family and vocation, and a reminder of the pride our staff takes in the work they do every day. Watching the next generation step into our classrooms, even just for a day, reaffirmed our purpose to inspire, to nurture, and to lead. We also want to highlight an exceptional example of community partnership. SEA educators from kindergarten through 8th grade collaborated with the Sparta Independent to feature student writing and artwork in the annual children's publication. This project not only celebrated our students' voices and creativity, but also exemplified the power of local collaboration in supporting literacy, expression, and pride in our community. In the spirit of this collaboration and recognition, we also take a moment to acknowledge May Day, celebrated today, May 1st. This day honors the contributions of workers and underscores the importance of fair labor practices. It's a time to reflect on the struggles and achievements of the labor movement and to emphasize the values of dignity, equity, and respect in every workplace, including our schools. Recognizing May Day reminds us that the work educators do each day is part of a broader legacy, one rooted in justice, opportunity, and unwavering commitment to others. As always, SEA members remain grounded in our shared mission to provide high-quality instruction, meaningful support, and equitable access to resources for every student. We do this work with integrity, pride, and partnership with the board, our administration, and the families who trust us with their children's education. Looking ahead, let's continue to move forward together, seeking opportunities, embracing innovation, and building schools where every student can thrive. Thank you.
Well timed. Okay, anyone else? Okay, may I have a motion to close public comment number 2? Thank you, Michelle, second. Thank you, Rebecca. All in favor? Okay, any opposed, any abstentions? All right, for the good of the order. Anyone have anything they'd like to share? Okay. And we will not be reconvening in closed session. So may I have a motion to adjourn, please? Thank you, Rocky, second. Thank you, Emily. All in favor? Or I'll go do a roll call, sorry. Discussion? Yeah, all in favor? Why not? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.